Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. And I know y'all call me Sniffles, but it has everything to do with all of the carcinogens. That's it. That's it. Good morning, Debo. Good morning, Jermaine.
Good morning,
I saw
sir.
Clark. Did I see Clark?
Yeah, he was here somewhere.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. As you know, we have from time to time done faith, justice, politics, conversations with different thought leaders, faith leaders in our beloved community. And so it's a diversity of thoughts, ideas. And so I'm just very happy to have with us this morning Dr. Eric Wallace. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. I'm good.
Good, good. He's the author of the book, The Heart of Apostasy, How the Black Church Abandoned Biblical Authority for Political Ideology and How to Reclaim It. Tell our listening audience a little bit something about you.
Well, so I'm an ordained pastor, although I'm not pastoring at the moment. I have a couple of degrees in biblical studies. And actually, I got called to ministry when I was about 17. Came to know Christ when I was 16 and preached my first sermon. I was 17 years old. I kind of talk about it. I actually have a autobiography that I wrote a couple of years ago called Integrity of Faith. And I mentioned in there that my first sermon that I came across this pastor who was starting a new church in an elementary school. And so I went there.
Where was this? What city?
Oh, this was in Reston, Virginia.
Oh, okay. Right outside D.C.
And so I started going there, and he noticed that, I was really on fire, for a teenager who just come to know the Lord. I ended up preaching a sermon, and if you can call it that, because as I looked up, people were starting to cry. My dad was actually in the audience, and I joked that I'm not sure whether the Spirit was moving or whether the sermon was just so bad that people started crying. So I figured if I was going to be called to ministry and preach the gospel, I needed to know what the gospel was. So I ended up going to Bible college and a couple of seminaries, and eventually got a PhD in New Testament and 2 master's degrees in Old Testament. And so that kind of got me moving along. I didn't get involved in the political aspect until later, after seminary was over, trying to figure out what God really wanted me to do with all this education.
Now, are you originally from the Virginia area? DMV sounds like you're in Reston.
Well, I've been back and forth. So Virginia is like my second home.
Okay.
I was born in Chicago in Cook County Hospital, and we moved out in DC, Virginia area when I was a freshman in high school. I believe I was a freshman in high school. Both my parents had jobs at Howard University.
Okay.
So.
And that's kind of interesting, because one of the questions centers around someone who I knew taught at Howard University, Thomas Sowell, where he was an instructor. I don't know if that was the first place he taught. I know he ended up at the University of Chicago with Milton Friedman. So based on that, when we think about justice, how has your faith tradition informed your definition of justice?
Oh, that's funny, because I was getting ready to ask you what your definition of justice was. So it depends on how we're looking at justice. What does that mean? So from a biblical perspective, and you didn't use the social justice, which was interesting.
Yeah, because I think justice, social justice is part of it, but I think the overall concept of justice, I think that's where we should start, and then we can get into particular how justice is applied to particular arenas.
Yeah, so I when I look at it biblically, I look at the whole idea of doing what is right, righteousness, being just, treating people the way they're supposed to be treated, understanding that we're all created in the likeness and image of God, the Imago Dei, that there isn't one group of people that's better than another group of people. Biblically speaking, we're all um, born into sin. We're all sinners and fall short of God's glory. But that we're also supposed to give mercy. I think it's in Luke chapter 6, where there's the Sermon on the Plain, and it talks about, what good is it to you if you love people who love you? I mean, even the sinners do that. So it's kind of telling the church we need to go beyond what society would say is okay as far as justice is concerned. We need to go beyond that and understanding that, again, people, as we treat other people, as we learn to love them as Christ loved us and gave his life for us, to be able to mete out justice. So there's a standard of justice when it comes to the law, and to carry out the law and do and have the legal process. But then there's also justice about how do we treat one another. So I don't know, but they sound a little convoluted, but as I'm trying to wrap my head around how I see justice, it doesn't mean. So I guess I need to ask as well whether we're wrapping equity in there as well, because these days we talk about justice, but then does justice mean that everybody comes out with the same outcomes? And I would say obviously no, because that's trying to play God and do something more than I think justice entails. It means doing the right thing for the right reasons at the right time.
So when you and you had mentioned, like, I didn't say social justice, but when you want to know what my definition of justice was, is really pretty simple. It's giving people their due, and whatever that is. I mean, that could be consequences for your behavior. Now, I also believe that maybe justice should be mitigated, with mercy, depending on the circumstances. But justice is just making sure that people, get their due, their due rights, whatever that is. You wrote this book, and I went back to check to make sure you didn't write this to the church universal. You talked about the Black church in particular. Dr. King had this quote, I'm paraphrasing. He said that 11 o'clock on Sunday morning is the most segregated hour in America. When we talk about the Black church, do you think that the fact that we even have a Black church has everything to do, or is related to injustice as it relates to when I think it's Absalom Jones and Richard Allen was kicked out of a church? And so for us, since it seems the inception or the introduction of enslaved Africans, colonized Africans to Christianity in particular, that it's been segregated, separate.
Yeah, that's a good question, because I wrestle with that, because there are some people say there is no such thing as a Black church. When you talk about the church universal, it's actually just the church, right? And I agree with that. But then I also do what you just did with, our circumstances here in the United States, is that the church had been segregated in many instances, and especially in the South. And that,
the North too. I grew up in the North, and I was in Black churches all my life.
Well, being in Black church doesn't necessarily mean, so there's legal segregation and there's self-segregation. And for me, if we want to self-segregate, I think that should be our prerogative. If you want to do that, if you feel there's some necessity to have a predominantly Black church, and even in that regard, most Black churches don't say white people can't come. It's just that it's predominantly Black. The pastor's Black, everybody else is Black, and they feel like there's a number of different issues that we want to address. And I think in the past, the Black church has been been a place where we've come to help uplift, to help support one another. It's kind of another family and another place, kind of a safe place for people to come and then worship and not have to be put in the back of the church, or to say you can't come up front, or to say you can't do this. So yeah, our history has helped propagated a Black church. Um, the question is it, how relevant is it today, and how important is it today? And I guess I can argue on both sides of that to a certain extent. But my argument in the book, though, even though it is pointed at the Black church, I also speak to the church in general, because there are times when I'm talking about the church needs to repent, I talk about the church in general, as well as the Black church. So my heart has been, as a Black man and a Black Christian, a Christian, I should say this way, a Christian who happens to be Black, that I'm concerned about what some of the things that I'm seeing, that our skin color becomes more important than our Christian faith, our Christian identity. Our identity as being Black seems to take precedent over our identity of being Christian.
So in terms of that, I view myself as a follower or a disciple of the teachings of Jesus. That in my mind, when you start talking about these virtues, they're obviously colorless, right? I mean, these are just kind of virtues, cardinal virtues that our society, or how we work in our society, hinges upon, which is, justice, fairness. Jesus talks about love. He talks about repentance, that word change. But Jesus did go after power structures, right? I mean, the great example was him overturning the tables in the temple because he felt that people were being abused and there was injustice there. So the Black church, in a lot of ways, we've been in a position where we're responding to our environment, right?
Well, the question is, well, yes and no. I mean, there was a time when there was a lot of when there was legal segregation, where there was, Jim Crow laws and all these other things, obviously slavery, and we did respond to that. But a lot of those things that what we call systemic racism, have been dealt a death knell, in my opinion. There is no.
So you don't think that there's still systemic racism?
No, not at all.
Why not?
Nothing to. Because it's illegal to discriminate against somebody because of the color of their skin. I mean,
Well,
we got the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment.
right.
We have the right to vote. We have the civil rights law legislation 64, and then the voting rights legislation in 65. These things are there for a reason, to help stop any kind of systemic racism that there was. I don't know of any laws today that keep Black people from advancing. And I
But
think
the systemic racism is more than codified laws. It's also customs, practices, behaviors.
So what kind
Right?
of custom practices and behaviors can you identify
I
that are
live.
actually holding Black people back?
Oh man, really? We were having a discussion yesterday about those of us who have been in PWIs, predominantly white institutions, and even though we could be there legally, there was still a hostile environment when we were there.
Where is this?
Hmm?
Where was this? I heard you give some.
I went to a predominantly white Catholic high school in the suburbs here. Didn't always feel welcome. I went to a predominantly white college, Catholic college in the mountains in Maryland. Didn't always feel welcome there. I think that it was like the whole idea is separate but equal, but then the practices were never, it was always separate but never equal. So I still think that there's still systemic racism. I mean, I don't know. Well, let me ask this. When do you think that systemic racism ended?
Civil rights legislation. So the question is, how do we define systemic racism? I guess that's where we need to go back to.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that racism is gone. I mean, racism, just like any other sin, is going to be around until Jesus returns. So, but that's not our number one issue anymore. We've kind of dealt with that. There are no systems that I see that are set up. So there's no one saying you got to go sit in the back of the bus. There are no laws in the books that say, you can't attend this school, or you can't do this, that, and the other. There may be people who want to stand in your way, but there have always been people like that. There have always been people. There are black people that don't. I mean, we got within our own communities colorism. Light-skinned people aren't looked at the same way that dark-skinned people are, and in different shades of color, and all this other stuff we have to deal with. People don't like me because
wouldn't that be another example then of even how we've internalized the systemic racism?
no, because we also have issues with how tall we are, how short we are. You're overweight, you're too skinny. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why people don't like other people. We can't, and I'm not trying to be the thought police to try and figure out whether white people like me, and I could care less whether white people like me. I could care less whether certain black people like me or not. I've been called for a reason by God to do a particular thing. And those of us in the kingdom need to understand that there's nothing that any white person or anybody else can do that can keep us from our destiny that God has for us. And so I'm not going to play the victim and feel like, oh, wow, these white people, boy, I step outside the house and all these white people are trying to get at me. I can't. That's a victim mentality. And we cannot win anything. Our children can't achieve if we're always worried about some white person. What's the term for it? I'm trying to think of a particular term. So white supremacy, that somehow white people are so strong that they're able to stop me, get in my way, and to stop me from doing stuff.
But in your book, you have something called the myth of white supremacy. Why do you think that white supremacy is a myth?
Because white people aren't supreme. They may think it in their mind, but you may have a few people who think they're better than black people, but they're not. So why should we take that on as if it's somehow real? It's not real. There's no such thing as white supremacy. It's a myth. It's somehow a myth that people are propagating and trying to get black people to believe somehow that white people can somehow alter your destiny.
Is there such a thing as white privilege?
I don't believe that either, because there's privilege to people who achieve certain things. So like your children get certain privileges. I have certain privileges. So let me give you, for instance. So my parents taught at Howard University. Because they taught at Howard University, I got remission of tuition. Is that privilege? Yeah. I mean, there are all kind of privileges that are out there that we get because of who our parents were, who we know, friends of ours. I'm friends with a baseball owner here in Chicago, and every now and then I get free tickets to go. Is that privilege? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But have you? There's a documentary called A Little White Lie. I don't know if you've seen this documentary.
No.
It's about a young lady who grew up in New York State. I think it could have been Poughkeepsie, and all her life she thought she was Jewish. She thought she was white, even though her complexion, her hair, all these things. And come to find out that her mom had an affair with a African American, got pregnant. Her husband, they didn't break up. Interesting story. But then once she found out that she was black, she made this comment. She said, "Oh, I realized that there is such a thing called white privilege, because as long as I was considered white, people treated me differently than they did once they found out that I was black." And that's kind of a real experience where, there are people who there is this idea of, I don't know if white supremacy because don't you even think that slavery and Jim Crow and all these things was based on white supremacy and white privilege?
Oh, I didn't say it didn't ever. There wasn't an idea that people thought they were superior. My thought is it's just not true. There's nothing behind that says that white people are superior to black people. That's what I'm getting at. And I'm also saying that any kind of systemic racism and stuff is gone. It's dead. It no longer has any control over us as long as you don't. You have to allow that to have any kind of control over you, you have to believe in it. And my thing is, we need to stop believing it. There are always gonna be white people who aren't gonna like black people. There are gonna be black people that don't like white people. There's gonna be Asians that don't. I mean, we've got problems with Africans who look down on black people. So it's always gonna be there. You just can't let it stop you. So we're not. So I'm saying there's some people out there who act like this is a really big deal and nothing has changed since Jim Crow or anything else. And I say that's not true. We got black people everywhere.
So you think that it's a figment of our imagination? This is not a real experience
It's something that
for a significant portion of descendants of enslaved Africans?
I'm saying it's something that we shouldn't give a lot of credence to. A lot of we shouldn't look at it as an obstacle we can't overcome. Is there racism? As I said, there's racism. It's gonna be there forever. We're never gonna get rid of it. Just like there are people who are liars. There are people who are narcissists. There are people, and there are all kinds of things out there that will try and stop you in your tracks. It's just one of the many things that are out there, and it's never gonna go away. So I'm not going to spend all my time trying to get rid of or be the thought police to figure out how many white people actually love me and how many don't. I don't care. I don't have time for that. I have time to figure out that I want to be an engineer and I'm going to go to the best school that I can study to become an engineer. And if I'm good at what I'm doing, people will come and want my services, black, white, or Hispanic or whatever. When they finally let black people play baseball, everybody all of a sudden wanted a black player. I mean, Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, and I was trying to remember the guy in the white league, Dobie, I think it was. Anyway, once they broke the color line, I mean, there's a floodgates. They wanted black players. All of a sudden, they were like, "Well, wait a minute. We get a couple of black players. They actually can play well because we want to win." And it became about, so one of the things I think Thomas Sowell.
But it was white supremacy and racism that kept black players out of the league.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying it didn't exist. So there's a difference, Keith, between saying it once existed and it was an obstacle. We broke through that obstacle and now the dam has been busted. And, we've got, the NBA is predominantly black. We got the NFL is predominantly black. It's kind of turned around for baseball.
When we look at the NFL, the dearth of black coaches, the fact that you had to put the Rooney Rule into effect, and it wasn't this year because there are 3 black coaches, but there were 10 openings, no black coaches. Is that because black coaches are inferior, or is it certain privileges like the coaches that you see? Their dad was in it. I was having a conversation yesterday about the trades and how in Milwaukee, I can't speak for Chicago, but in Milwaukee, if your dad was in the trade union, you got in the trade union. And if for many of the black folks who came up, they couldn't get into trade unions because they had no family who was ever in the trade unions. So right. That in my mind is an indication that I would want to believe that it doesn't exist, but it does. I mean, it's just happened. Let's do this though. We're up on a break. Mm-hmm. We have okay, you ready? Sorry about that, guys. We have Dr. Eric Wallace on, and we're having this discussion around his book. I'll just do the shortened title, The Heart of Apostasy. And we'll talk about particularly why you wrote the book and who you directed the book towards. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
So speaking of Black history, we must we always tell people there are certain things you can change through lifestyle, changing, and there are certain things you can't. And one of the things you can't change is your nationality or your race. And
Your genetics.
and we I we were taken out of our country, put on the ship, and brought to America. And the slaves that survived were the slaves that were salt retainers, because the other ones died of
Dysentery.
dysentery, dehydration, whatever. So when we got to America, we made it with other slaves, and it's not. Some of us do, but it's not that we eat too much salt. It's just that we're more salt resistant. We should eat less salt
Because our bodies are much more sensitive to it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Our bodies are, and it ain't our fault.
Right.
And
And
it always gets back to slavery.
And
we say it all the time, it always gets back to slavery.
And it may not be our fault, but we still have to do something about it, right?
But if you don't know it,
Exactly.
if you don't know it and you go to the doctor and the doctor go, "Oh, you African Americans, y'all blood pressure's so high,"
Excuse me?
It's an insult.
That's what I'm saying.
When he said you people, excuse me?
And then that makes you feel some kind of way.
Oh, sure.
And
Well,
then,
it makes you feel like you want to hurt somebody too.
well, and
So.
you feel like, well, I got it anyway. But no, because we've taken how many blood pressures in the community, and a lot of time men, they really get more defeated quicker than the women do when their blood pressures are high, because men fixate more on numbers than women do. Yeah, y'all want to know the number. What's my number? What's normal? What's
Ain't gonna do nothing but tell me the
Right.
number.
want to know the number?
You know why?
Why?
So we at the barber shop.
So you can talk, man. Let me tell you what my number is.
Statistically correct when I'm having this conversation. That's one of the processes of you walk up, Brenda, how you doing? And Brenda pulls out her medical chart. This is the process when you get older. Keith, how you doing? Well, and then we tell you. I'm like, dude, I don't really
want it. I didn't really want
medical
all of
history. This was more of an esoteric question.
Yeah.
Like,
just how you doing?
how
Like
you
being
doing? How's
kind.
life?
Right.
I
Good
mean,
to see you.
Oh man, I tell the story, man. I went to. That's why I don't go to Super Bowl parties. And these brothers talked 30 minutes about gout. I know my boy listening. I was going like, "There's a game,"
But my
they're
toe hurts.
arguing about it. I'm like, "Come on,
Which
man!"
is different to everybody. Every personal
and
gout is different.
And it's painful. It's bad. It's painful.
What about we hear this term congested heart failure.
Mm-hmm.
What is the definition of congested heart failure?
It is truly congestive heart failure when your heart is not pumping effectively, and your heart on the left side, it pushes all the blood out, and it does it so forcefully. But if things aren't working properly, because the blood got to come back and go into the lungs, your heart, and into the lungs and come back out, you can get where you get extra fluid. The heart is not functioning
and it's
properly.
with your host, Keith Parris.
Welcome back, and we have on the program with us today, Dr. Well, I want to say Eric Allen. He was a great. What was he? Safety? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Dr. Eric Wallace. He's the author of The Heart of Apostasy: How the Black Church Abandoned Biblical Authority for Political Ideology and How to Reclaim It. So the premise of your book is that the Black church is moving away from biblical
Yes.
authority, more for political ideology.
Yeah, and if I was gonna, so I wrestled with the title for a long time, at least the subtitle, because it was more about we've put forth our Black identity ahead of our biblical understanding, and the politics of racial grievance, if you will, where we're always, putting forth, we're a victim. White people are, doing this to us. I mean, it's almost like the Black Lives Matter idea that, or the critical race theory idea that somehow white people are evil, and they've always been evil. And white people are born not only with privilege, but they're also born with the idea that they think they're better than everybody else. And almost.
Let me ask this question:
Yeah.
Have you read the book Critical Race Theory?
I have.
You have?
Yes.
Okay, so then if you read the book, it really talked about how systemic racism is weaved through the justice system. For example, when they came up with crack laws, the drug bill, that was the Reagan drug bill, crack law, where crack cocaine was 16 times. It was considered 16 times more powerful than powder cocaine, even though substantially they were the same thing. And then they put the crack laws on the books, and we did some research and found out that even though white folks and Black folks use crack at the same frequency, not one white American has ever been charged under the federal crack law. Now that, and I think in legal terms that becomes in people's mind a disparate. So I'm just saying that, yeah, there are still things out there that disproportionately impact people of color. But the critical race theory wasn't anything other than talking about how, and historically, how racism has kind of colored, no pun intended, the criminal justice system.
Well, the book that I read, and I guess I should ask the question, which book are we talking about? Because I'm trying to remember the authors of the book. But as I understood, see, now I'm going to get off trying to remember.
No,
so let me
because that became CRT. Then once that people pushed back on that, pushed back and said, you need to read it. Here's what it's all about. Then it became DEI. So yeah, there are things out there that, so do you, how do you feel about this idea of diversity, equity, and inclusion?
I think we should always have diversity in a certain way. I don't like the way that the left has pushed diversity, equity, and inclusion.
How do you feel the left has pushed it?
Because it's become almost as though there's this idea that we need to change the requirements for being in a particular area if we want to bring in more diversity. And then we're really not talking about diversity. It's not diversity in thought. It's only diversity in skin color.
No, it's diversity also in life experience, so a lived experience. So even though, because of my skin color, I have a certain lived experience. Because of a European skin color, they have a certain lived experience in most cases. Now we
I'm about to say you can overgeneralize that.
I'm saying, but that because we are talking about a general concept. So the idea, to be able to diversify means that people are exposed to people with different life experiences, and do you think that's a positive thing?
Let me
a kid from Wooton, Massachusetts, will meet a kid from Roxbury in Boston, and they're able then to say, oh, here's your life experience, here's my life experience. Plus, I think the other thing is outreach. I used to be a college recruiter, and one of the things we used to say, you can't apply for Harvard if you don't know Harvard exists, right? So this idea that we're better, not to even talk about issues. I know we no longer talk about equality now, we talk about equity, but I don't know why that wouldn't be a good thing to diversify student bodies, workforces. Why wouldn't that be a good idea?
Because our history has told us that it necessarily doesn't work or didn't work for a while for blacks. When we had segregated schools, when we had the what's the school, Dunbar, in Washington D.C., it was one of the best schools in the country, and we were turning out lawyers and doctors and all kinds of well-educated black students, and there was no diversity there. I mean, how is that helping right now when we're talking about black kids in the inner city? We got schools in Chicago where a lot of our kids can't even read, and so what we need is excellence. What we should be pushing for is excellence, and our excellence will make way for us.
But to be able to develop excellence, isn't there a cost? I mean, excellence is not free. When we have something. I know you're a supporter of the Choice program. We've dealt 40 years of choice, and what we've discovered in the 40 years of choice is that in some of the instances, the students are doing worse because, and the example I always give when we talked about choice was, if it was truly a choice, we have a school here called University School, right? It is. I'll just say it's the academically is the most what's the word, competitive school we have in this area. It costs $24,000 to go to school there. How then, when you look at the product that's being turned out at University School, and then we have a choice school where they're spending $8,000. It's less than we're spending on public. So at some point, it is the resources that will indicate whether or not a person will be able to achieve excellence. It's we always hear this bootstraps, but if you don't have boots, how do you pull yourself up? And that was the whole thing about separate but equal. It was never equal. It was never, I went to segregated schools. Our supplies were very different than white schools. That's why many of us was trying to get to white schools, because we were under-resourced in black schools. So it is a question of resources, right?
No, I don't agree with that. I've watched other people talking about choices where they, and so we're getting into some things that are actually separate from my book, so I can't necessarily.
Oh, okay, but you did.
So I can't necessarily speak.
You did mention choice in the book, right?
But I have talked about school choice,
right?
And I believe that parents should have the right to be able to decide what they want to send their kid. One of the things I do argue in the book, when I talked about we're getting away from biblical authority, is that originally the church was the place where we came together, and we talked about our faith in Christ. We had Christian schools. We had, and I think it's Steadfast Democrats that I mentioned, where it talks about how conservative the black community actually is. It's like, a lot of the things that white conservatives talk about, like the Second Amendment, about being pro-life, about even when it comes to welfare, they want people to work, and it's like 70% or more are in agreement, but we don't vote that way. And the problem I have is that we're voting for things that I believe are detrimental to the black community.
Give some examples.
Why are we supporting? We say we're for traditional marriage. Why are we supporting people who are not for traditional marriage? Why are we supporting people who want to, the transgender movement, where they're mutilating our children and saying they can go from being a boy to being a girl and a girl to a boy? And we know that's not true. Why are we doing that? Because we've put the color of our skin ahead and said that this is more important than anything else. And I say, no, it is not in our way. It is not standing in our way.
Okay. And I have a real problem with the homophobia in the black church. The black church sometimes tends to be more homophobic, and I have a real problem with that. You started off saying that God created everybody. So God created everybody, and everybody should be able to live their truth. It's not for me to say how you should live your truth, who you are.
Well, we're going to disagree on that very strongly.
So you think that society then should be able to come in and tell people how they can live their truth?
No, I think the church, look, my book is to Bible believing Christians who are not standing for what they say they believe, right? If you say that you believe that the word of God is that the Bible is the word of God and you're going to live by that, then there's just certain things that you cannot, you should not be voting for.
So as followers,
I got in an argument with one of my pastor friends who I used to actually work with and he said, we're not one issue voters. And I think he was thinking I was just talking about the abortion issue. And so I told him, oh, yes, we are. Our one issue is how does our vote bring honor and glory to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ? And if we're voting for things that we know Christ would not,
is God Republican or is God Democrat?
God is.
I don't.
These aren't Republican and Democrat issues.
So then why it?
These aren't Republican Democrat issues. You want to do that because then you want to say, well,
no, and I agree with you about the dichotomy in the black church. I know I'm frustrated with that in certain progressive issues, black folks, when it comes to government, because in some instances, people are a little bit more reliant on government, or that. So I understand that piece of it. I've always wrestled with, not always. I've gotten to the point in my life where I wrestle with at the same time how our issues when it comes to abortion, when it comes to LGBTQ issues. I have, but I don't know, to say to people, if the Bible is what you use to vote with, I think that's a dangerous thing. And I'm an ordained Baptist minister. That's dangerous because the Bible is the Bible. Society and government is society and government. And in America, we do not have a theocracy.
No, we don't. But but we all vote by certain principles. And those principles are either informed by scripture or they are not, or they're informed by something else. And we can talk about, our belief systems, but our belief systems, our laws are based on our belief systems. And we're either, look at New York, right? What's happening in New York City? So you now have a Muslim who's in charge, who's the mayor of and they're talking about
America was never founded on sectarianism. As a matter of fact, the founding fathers went out their way to make sure that it was not sectarian, because many of them came from England, and because of the outsized influence of the Church of England and those who then came from Catholic countries, the outsized influence of the Catholic Church in government and in ruling. So America, I hear that America was not founded on Judeo-Christian principles. And the only time the Creator is only mentioned once in the Declaration of Independence. So this idea of America being this Christian country, and then Bishop Tutu wrote that God is not a Christian, God is not a Muslim, God is not a Hindu. So why do we have one religion that's to be superior, even though numerically we are, to other religions like Islam, and some of our descendants, when they came to America, was Muslim. So so are you're making the argument America is a Christian nation?
I'm making the argument that America was founded on a lot of Judeo-Christian values, and if you look at the constitutions for most of the state constitutions, most of them actually were established with certain church affiliations. It wasn't in the U.S. Constitution, but they were in the state constitutions. So you can find it in the older state constitutions about their Christian faith and belief. It wasn't founded on Sharia law. It wasn't founded on the Quran, certainly. But there are beliefs. If I'm a practitioner
if I'm a practitioner of Sharia law, if I'm a practitioner of Islam, should I not have the same position in American society as a Christian?
You can do whatever you
look. I'm just asking in general. In terms of, are we
in general, the problem is you have Islamists who actually want to take over this country, and
I have white Christian nationalists who want to take over this country. They're more dangerous to me than an Islamic.
Really?
Yes.
Then you really haven't been paying attention to what's happening.
I have. I'm telling you, man. I made it in political science. It's what I do. I can tell you now. I know down in Texas right now, because immigration is not an issue, and I'm talking about now with the Republic, they're going after this Muslim community that want to build their community. They're not going after white separatists, the survivalists, and the militia movement. They're going after people, who have this white Christian identity. They're going after Muslims. And I'm asking, if God is a God of all, then how do we then get to a point where we say that God is not a God of all?
God is the creator of all, and God is ultimately the only
Did he create
God.
Muslims?
But God decides how God is going to be approached and be worshipped. So if you say God is the God of all, and all these roads, I'm taking it, you're going to say that all these roads all these religions lead to God. I would vehemently say no, and I don't know where as an ordained pastor.
If I say that, that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that in America, we acknowledge that people have different paths to God.
No,
the Constitution says that. That there will be wait a minute. There is no establishment of church. There is no established religion in America.
Excuse me. Let me finish my point. They have a right to worship as they want to worship. Nobody's telling them they don't have a right to be atheist or to be, Jehovah's Witness or whatever they want to be. Right. The problem comes when folks are trying to. So, Islamists, and what I mean by that are people who want to see Islam take over the world, so that the next, what do they call it? Caliph, or whatever it is, the next dynasty or whatever will come.
Christians talk about Armageddon.
Yeah, well, right, but no one's saying you need to convert to Christianity with a gun. No one is saying you need to convert to Christianity with a gun or a sword at your throat.
And no one in America is saying that you need to convert to Islam by a gun or sword.
Not yet.
As a matter of fact, the only two evangelical missionary religions in the world is Christianity and Islam. And by the way, Islam is quickly becoming the largest religion in the world.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that
that's a scary thing.
But it shouldn't be scary if practitioners of the faith do the values of the faith, these universal values: love, forgiveness, repentance. No matter how you dress it up. And that's what Jesus talked about, because there were people who came to Jesus saying, there are people out doing it in the name of Apollos, and they're doing it in the name of this. Jesus said it didn't matter whose name they did it in. It was what they were doing that matters.
No, that's a misunderstanding of that scripture.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. But it seemed to me that it was pretty clear that what he was saying was, it's the good we do, not what we wrap the good up in. Don't you think? Isn't that
it's no? We believe. Look, I wrote my dissertation on the Gospel of John, and part of that is understanding, believing who Jesus is. Either you believe that he is the Son of God, the Savior of the world, or you don't. And if you don't, you're condemned already. If you believe, then you've got faith in Christ. It's
we're talking about, we're not being beatific now. We're not talking about when we die and eternal life. We're talking about how we live our lives here and how we should govern our lives here. Like, for example, I've never heard Jesus talk about homosexuality. I heard Jesus talk about divorce. When's the last time?
He didn't have to talk about homosexuality because it wasn't an issue in Israel.
If it wasn't an issue for Jesus, why is it an issue for us?
Now, when you go outside Israel and you have the Apostle Paul talking about it, there was homosexuality out there, so Paul talked about it.
He did, but Jesus didn't. We followed Jesus.
Homosexuality was. I follow the whole counsel of God. It's not just in
what I'm saying
red letters of the New Testament.
Whether
Jesus spoke in Leviticus. Either you believe that Jesus was there or he wasn't. John makes it clear that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. The Word was with God.
Now, Paul did say that because Jesus died, we're no longer under the law. I mean, do you eat pork?
We're not saved by the law. We are not saved by the law. It doesn't mean that the law is thrown out.
You don't eat pork. I mean, you eat pork, right?
We are not saved by the law. That was not salvation. And
then we cite Leviticus and Deuteronomy when we say, well, that's mentioned, but it's mentioned. There's 612 other things that homosexuality is mentioned next to in Deuteronomy. So I'm just trying to say, some things have more weight than others?
Of course.
Okay.
There's all kinds of things that have more weight than others. There's sins that have more weight than others.
Okay.
We know that the punishment for some sins was stoning. The punishment
Okay.
for other sins was you had to go. There were other things set aside. I've got to read. So in April, I've got to go to Washington D.C. and read the America Reads the Bible, and I'm reading a section from Joshua chapter 19, verse 24 through the end of chapter 21, I believe it is. And they all talk about the cities of refuge, right? And the cities, well, it talks about the borders set up for various tribes, right? But part of that, it also talks about the cities of refuge, where people can go if they accidentally kill somebody. It wasn't on purpose. They weren't sitting there trying to, figure out how they're gonna off this person. But something happens, and this person dies because of something you did. You can go to that city of refuge and find refuge there, so that the person, the avenger of blood, can't come and kill you there.
So justice was mitigated.
I'm sorry.
Justice was mitigated
Yes.
in that instance. Okay. I guess what
Hey, by the way, I love this, Keith.
man,
I'm enjoying this.
I guess when we look at it, I don't think that America. Let's kind of get back to this.
Mhm.
I don't think that America should have an established religion.
Okay, I don't disagree.
And I think that people should have the right to freely express their religion as long as that religion is not impeding on me or impacting me other than I see it and I don't like it.
We can agree on that. We can agree on that.
So when we talk about this idea of the other, and the story of the Samaritan talks about the other and how the people who were kin did not provide aid, it was the other. There's an otherism that's going on in the country right now. Are you concerned about that, where we're demonizing immigrants?
What I'm concerned about is that we're being hypocritical in the fact that every other president had been removing immigrants that were here illegally. But the only time we get all excited about it is because Donald Trump is doing it. Barack Obama did it.
Don't you think that is
Bill
how
Clinton
he's
did
doing
it.
it?
No,
Obama was considered the deporter in chief.
Exactly.
Obama lost a whole lot of Hispanic support because I think he ended up sending out 3 million people. I don't know if it's the question that people don't want the borders enforced. I think it's how it's being enforced. What we just saw in Minnesota, that was just it wasn't the fact that you were going, it was how it was done.
People wouldn't be paying attention to it if we didn't have paid protesters out there, stirring up trouble. I don't think any of this is
I think
your
that the
average
majority
Joe
of people,
sitting at home.
the majority
These
of
are
people that were out
These are
protesting in
people who are getting
Minnesota.
paid to protest. And
No,
the
I
woman who
don't.
got shot, she didn't live there. She drove there from someplace else just
She
to
lived in
protest.
Minnesota. She had the right to be there.
Right, but she drove there. She was getting paid. These are not people who are, I have some friends who are far left and looking for work.
So you're
Some
saying that
people get a job to
they're not
protest.
paid people that show up for MAGA protests, because they are.
I don't know of any MAGA protests,
You don't know of any MAGA
especially any protests that result in the violence.
January 6th.
January 6th. I mean, you should have a whole different program on that one.
But January 6th.
I mean, there's a lot we can say about that.
Okay, but January 6th. I mean, if you want an example, there you go. There's
That was not. Are we blaming the president for that?
yes.
No.
Yes.
He actually said, march over there peacefully. And we like to cut that part out. March over there peacefully and let it be known. I think it was a
There were all
stupid
the
idea.
people that
Don't get me
had-
wrong. I think
It
it
was
was
coordinated.
A stupid idea.
It was coordinated through his people with the organizers, and unfortunately, one of the organizers was an African American brother. Yes, of course. He didn't say don't go up there.
No. I mean, look, I do not agree with everything that President Trump does. Matter of fact,
Because I only got a few
I
minutes
agree
left.
maybe 60
And
to 70%.
you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have you back because we need more. But let me.
appreciate
So what was your What was your reaction to the post where President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama were depicted as primates?
Yeah, my initial reaction was how stupid, right? To do something like that. And then when I found out that it was a meme of the Lion King,
You
so
didn't
I'm
think it was
always when I
racist?
see stuff like that, I'm always suspicious, right? I don't take anything at face value. So when it
Well,
comes to
first of
me,
all, the
I'm
White
like,
House
okay.
had 3 different stories, but you didn't think it was racist?
Well, I think in the long run, it's bad. Whoever put the meme together, it was done in poor taste. I don't like it when anybody does stuff like that.
You
We
didn't
had
think it was
stuff like that.
racist,
We had stuff like that with Condoleezza
but you
Rice.
didn't think it
We had
was racist?
No, I think it was for who? For who?
For
The
Black people.
creator of the meme?
No,
Or
the creator of the meme, but this was also, and I'm not buying. Unfortunately, Donald Trump has no credibility when it comes to the truth. It just that's unfortunate, but that's what it is. When he said that he stopped right before you get to that, and even it stayed up for 12 hours. So my question is, even Tim Scott came out, and he, even though he equivocated and said it's the most racist thing he saw come out the White House, which means there are other racist things that came out the White House that wasn't as racist as this. So you didn't think it was racist?
You're trying to say I thought
Hey,
that somehow the president did something racist. I believe the president's story that he looked at it, he saw what has. I mean, that's his big deal is talking about.
so Donald Trump is not racist?
No, actually, no, he is not. If you look at his history, he is not. He's dated Black women. Come on.
Okay, but he
I mean, that's the
also
stupidest thing I've ever heard. That he's
his
one of the most racist.
his
He
real
was
estate
racist.
company
He
would not
wasn't
rent
racist
to Black
until he
folks.
became
Is
a
that
Republican.
racist?
He wasn't racist.
He
until
had
became
to
a
he had to
Republican.
do a settlement with the Justice Department because of discrimination and in housing. That his
Look, he
real
didn't
estate.
want poor Blacks or poor whites in his building, and I can
Okay, well,
understand that.
the
Michael
poor whites can get
Jackson
upset, but if you're a poor Black person, that's still racism, right?
Michael Jackson had a spot in Trump Towers. Okay, if he's racist, why have Michael Jackson
He's
there?
rich.
You had
Aaron Wallace didn't have a spot in Trump Tower. Keith
Well,
Parris didn't have a spot in Trump Tower.
who?
Keith Parris, me.
No, you. Were you trying to get a place in Trump Towers?
You
I
didn't
mean, if he
think
could
it was
afford a
racist.
place in Trump Towers, he was going to allow it. He's a capitalist. He's not keeping anybody out who can pay the rent. Come on.
Well, let me ask you real
I mean,
quickly.
he hung out with Jesse Jackson.
What about this
I mean,
idea of the not ideas happening, the erasure of history as it relates to descendants of enslaved Africans in this country? For example, down at, which is a part of the national park system, the Medgar Evers house down in Jackson, Mississippi, they're taking any reference from Byron D. LeBeckwith assassinating him. Does that bother you that we're trying to?
I don't know enough about that. I don't know enough about that to comment.
Oh, okay. All right.
Saying you got to go now.
Yeah, how you? I'm gonna give you the last word.
Well, look, my book, Apostasy, The Heart of Apostasy, is about challenging the church to stand for what we say we believe and to vote those convictions and not put the color of our skin ahead of. And we're listening to people who don't understand our biblical worldview. And to those people are the people I'm speaking to. People who don't share that worldview, they're not my audience. My audience is those who believe that the Bible is the word of God.
But I'm your audience. No, because in fairness, because trust me, they're gonna blow up my phone. They're gonna ask why you had this dude on. I understand that there's diversity in thought in our community. Black folks are not a monolith. And I think that part of it is, and I appreciate how we had this conversation. We can have this conversation. It was like when they had confronted Jesus, and Jesus was keep throwing back. I'm trying to remember at the temple, he's throwing back stuff at folks, and they finally got mad at him. And I kind of paraphrased and said, "Yo, mama," where they said, "You must be a Samaritan," right? We didn't have that type of conversation, so I'm hoping, man, you can come back and we can.
Oh man, anytime.
Dr. Eric Wallace, he's the author of the book, The Heart of Apostasy, How the Black Church Abandoned Biblical Authority for Political Ideology and How to Reclaim It. I do have a copy of the book. Thank you. And then it's funny because here in my Nook library, your book is right next to Raphael Warnock's book, The Divided Mind of the Black Church, Theology, Piety, and Public Witness. Have you read that?
No, I haven't.
It's a great book. Have you read The Black Church?
By
Gates.
I'm sorry?
By Lewis Gates.
No, not by Lewis Gates.
Great book. Yeah.
Okay.
Suggested reading for Black History Month. Dr. Eric Wallace, thank you, man. Appreciate you. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, welcome back. And as part of our WNOV Valentine's Day giveaway, we have tickets to the new play,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. C.L. Woodson the third.
Yeah.
They called him by his government name, and I kept saying, "Hey man, I thought you was C.L." They called him by his government name.
Yeah.
People know you from back in the
People-
day, man.
Man, yeah.
But we have with us again, and then Mr. Keith Mitchell.
He should be on the line.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes,
No, who's that?
That's
Reggie?
Keith Mitchell.
this is Keith.
Okay, Keith. We got Reggie? Yep. There he is. All right. So you have a new play that's going to be done on Valentine's Day. What's the name of that play?
It is Never Knew Love Like This.
Never
Happening
Knew
this
Love
Saturday,
Like
Valentine's Day, 8 p.m. at the historic, beautiful Paps Theater. Doors will open at 7, and the show will start promptly at 8 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I always have to know what was the genesis. That's Alexander O'Neill song.
That's
Sherelle.
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 Yeah, that's Sherelle
Okay.
song. Yeah. Yeah, Never Knew Love Like This. Yeah. I figured, for Valentine's Day, I wanted to write something, but have it unique. So, the whole play take place in a jail day room. So it's about a young lady named Ernestine Clark. She's been having some bad relationships in the past. So she prayed and asked God to send her a man. And she was blessed with a new job, happened to be a corrections officer surrounded by men. So that's the twist of it. She's in the jail and she's trying to figure out, her next moves and what she's gonna do next in life. And so it's packed with comedy and a lot of good singing. As you just mentioned, we got Keith Mitchell on the line, formerly of After 7. So it's gonna be a packed entertaining shows for everyone. The whole family can enjoy.
Keith, what do you look forward to as being a part of this production?
Well, first of all, I certainly am excited about coming back to Milwaukee because it's been quite a bit of time since I've been there and had the opportunity to sing and perform. But the opportunity, this was my first time being in a stage play, and CL, snuffed me out and wrote, a special part that he felt I would be perfect for. And it kind of matches a lot of sensibilities of my character. And so I'm excited to be on stage, of course, and also the opportunity to share some of my lead vocal capabilities with the audiences, because in After 7, I was shadowed quite a bit over the course of 30 years. So I'm really excited to be a part of the production. It's a great, funny piece, a plethora of actors and actresses that are phenomenal, and I'm humbled to have the opportunity to share my first time in a stage play, on stage, being able to sing and do a little bit of acting.
Do you prepare differently for a stage production as opposed to how you for a concert?
Well, the dancing and singing, which is the signature of After 7, is not really required, but I think the character of being able to read the copy and then to deliver the sensibilities that are attached to the words that CL have written requires some similarities to what we do in trying to project the concept of a song and the feelings of a song that are the emotional side of what After 7, me as a singer, has done all my life. But the being able to make that connection with an audience about the commentary that's coming out of your mouth about the play, and then get the opportunity to sing has a relationship of both. But it's my first time doing it, so I'm excited to get to share that part of myself with an audience, and look forward to seeing the results of the impact of it.
You never did any plays when you were in high school?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Yeah, singing was, what came natural from the church
Right.
background, and then at Indiana University, being in the IU Soul Review was where the stand-up male vocalist aspects of my experience was developed, and so this is something that I think I'll like, but I gotta wait and see what it is. When the chemistry of the individuals come together, that's what's going to make it special. And then having the audience there to respond to the all the funny lines that they're going to hear and the emotions that we're sharing in delivering the message.
Reggie Brown.
Hey, how's it going this morning?
Good, man. Happy New Year. I hadn't seen you since last year. How you been, man?
Yeah, blessed, truly blessed.
You a singer?
Yes. Oh no, I wish.
You were acting?
Only in the shower. In the car, in the shower.
So you doing this play? Is this the first play you've done? Have you done plays before?
Yes, I've had walk-on roles in Chicago and a couple here, but this is my first time actually being in the play with a script with words to say. So I thank Mr. CL for that.
You're welcome, bro.
Did you study acting or?
Yeah, I studied Denzel, Angela Bassett,
I know you're a
Samuel
comedian.
Jackson. I studied them. I just watched John Q yesterday.
Denzel, you got to get the walk down. Denzel,
Oh, yeah.
one of the coldest walks
Right.
in movie history. Him
I
and
know.
Michael Douglas also had a very, but Denzel,
Woo.
especially in Malcolm X.
That walking
Yeah.
That walk.
Yes, you're right about that. I'm gonna have to watch that. Yeah.
Well, you study it.
You said you studied.
Yes. Have to get that down pat.
How did you? What attracted you to wanting to do this play?
I got the call from Mr. CL. He said, Reg, you a talented guy, man. You want to be in this play? Well, seriously, he just asked me to be in it. Asked me if I would like to be in it. I said, I thought about it for a minute. I said, yeah, let's do it. People wondering where I am, so here I am. So
That was my thoughts. That was my thoughts, bro. You know,
yeah,
we're bringing back. You know,
there you go. I appreciate it too.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll bring it back, and you're doing a great job. You as well, Keith. You know, for both of you guys have
Thank
ever actually been on stage doing a stage play. I knew not to write no parts, you know, too big and too, you know, overpowering for you to learn and stuff. And you guys you got it, man. You know, so I can't wait for Milwaukee to actually experience y'all, you know, displaying y'all talents on the stage.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Very well.
Yes, me too.
But Reggie, your voice is just something else, man. You know, them lines that you be saying, man. I think it's just real. He's just such a character. Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna get good. We should do a duet together, Keith. I'm serious.
Oh Lord.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh Lord. It won't be Saturday. Milwaukee.
That is in the script.
It won't be Saturday. That's not in the script.
The script. You've been improvising in my play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Them checks
I've
go
been
down.
studying. I've been studying Luther Vandross too. I've been studying.
No, you just come up in the middle of the play. We shutting it down. I need to talk to these dudes. We'll be right back. We can.
Woo.
Y'all people.
Oh Lord.
No, it's gonna be an awesome show, Milwaukee. You know, never knew love like this Saturday at the Paps Theater. Doors will open at 7. The showtime is at 8 p.m. You can get the tickets online at papstheater.org or just go to the box office. It's open daily from 12 to 6 p.m. And on Saturday, the day of the show, it opens at 6 p.m., 2 hours before showtime. And you can go down, you know, get your tickets, secure your seats, and you're going to have a good time. So if you have plans for Valentine's Day, rearrange them. If you don't have plans for Valentine's Day, make some. Come on down. Fellas, you don't got to ask your lady what she want to do. Tell her to get pretty and take her out and treat her. You know, bring her to the stage play. She getting a comedy show. She getting a concert. She getting live theater and ministry sprinkled in all at once for one low price.
So you done got all up in people's relationships now.
Yeah.
I was listening. Are you going to Casilla? What's it said?
Right.
You should.
Just take them
And
out.
let me,
take
and
'em out.
also just here, we are giving away 2 tickets as part of our Valentine's Day giveaway promo tomorrow. So listen for the cue.
That's right.
Because we'll be doing that to give tickets. Man, it's always. How many plays have you done, man?
I've done 14 plays, and I've done over 60 shows around the country. So yeah, so you know, I've been doing it, man. Since 2008 was my first play, Just Believe. When I started, I didn't have a set, you know, I just had a couch. I had a couch in the window. I had a couch in the window in 2008.
I think that's how my deer started.
Yeah,
I think he had a
right.
lot of props.
And great, glory be to God. 6 months later, I had a full set. I had Gary Jenkins from the group Silk fly into Milwaukee. And he was in that same play in 2008. And then I did 2 more in 2009. Then I took a break and did 2 more films because I'm a filmmaker. So I did 2 more films. And then in 2017 is when I walked into the Pabst Theater, February 12th, 2017. So this is my 9th year consecutively at the Pabst, other than 2021 when COVID shut the world down. So yeah, so next year is my 10th year anniversary at the Pabst. We're already on the schedule. I've already got the play, pretty much put together. So it's gonna be a big thing for next year for my 10th year at the Pabst Theater.
Like Calhoun talk, Calhoun, what is it? Calhoun Tubbs. I wrote a play about it. You want to hear it?
Here you go. Here you go. It's about the struggle, the ups, the downs, the good, the bad.
And I think it's also Black art during Black History Month.
Definitely.
And this is Black art.
Definitely.
And so to be able to celebrate our culture,
Mhm.
our art, our musical genius, our comedic genius,
Yes.
all those things, man. So certainly appreciate it. Again,
Thank
people
you.
want tickets.
They want tickets. You could just log on to the Pabst Theater's website right now, pabsttheatergroup.org, or just go to the box office. And actually, if you go to the box office, you'll save on some of those fees that they be charging. So if you go there 12 to 6 p.m., and then Tuesday through Friday, 12 to 6 p.m., and then on Saturday, the day of the play, the box office will open at 6. And just to run down real quick, we got comedian Shucky Ducky from HBO, Def Jam, and the BET's Comic View. He's in the play as well. And my good friend Danny Boy, from formerly of Death Row Records, singing "I Ain't Mad at You" on the Tupac soundtrack. And then we got a plethora of other folks around, that's in the play. Adrian Patrick, Pastor Theo Mackey, Gwendolyn Mackey. We got a special guest coming in from Ohio named Jasmine Renee. And then we got my good friend Tyreek Johnson. Y'all know him. He's from Milwaukee. He's now resides out in Vegas, but he's coming in town to be a part of the play. So I got him in the show. It's going to be a great show, Milwaukee. Like I say, it's take place in a jail, but we're not glorifying jail. But let's be real. The penal system is a big impact on the Black community. We all either got someone there or been there ourselves. So I didn't want to, I'm not glorifying getting locked up, but I'm not forgetting about the people that are locked up. So that's what the play is going to center around. Still love. They still need love. They still have loved ones, and we still love them. So it's stories within the story, but it's so entertaining that you're not gonna want to get up and go to the restroom or anything like that. So they know. So yeah, 8 o'clock this Saturday. Never knew love like this, Milwaukee. Come on out. And I'm always looking for new talent, the new singers, new actresses and actresses. I always use hometown talent, even though, yes, I got celebrity friends that'll fly in town and be a part of my productions, but I'm always looking to help out a person that, like Reg said, he's never even been in a play, but now he's on the stage, so I don't mind taking people that's never done it if they serious about their craft and, learning their lines and being professional. Let's work.
Amen.
Let me thank Mr.
Yes.
Keith Mitchell, Reggie Brown.
Yes, sir.
Mr. C.L. Woodson.
Thank you so much for having me.
Never Knew Love Like This. Saturday, February 14th at the Pabst Theater. Doors open at 7.
Mm-hmm.
Play starts at 8. Keith, nice meeting you. Reggie, always good seeing you, man.
Thank
You
you.
too, man.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
seeing you. You're doing a great job too. Much love to you.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Oh man, I'm gonna take the rest of the day off now. I can quit.
Reggie Brown, a legend.
Reggie Brown, man, that's
Yeah,
a legend. Thank you, man. Much love. Appreciate you, man. Because
It's all good.
This brother for years, man.
He's a legend.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right, y'all. We're listening. You're listening to Community Voice. I'm just so overwhelmed. Listen, Community Voice. We're gonna take a break, and we'll be right back.
Parris.
All right, welcome back to the program. Okay, I got a call. Caller, welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning and happy hum day to everybody. I know you had the gentleman on who had all the foundation on his face, but let's make it very, very clear. There's tons of white racist men who love to go to pound town on black women. So I cannot stand when I hear them say, well, Trump used to date a black woman. We know racist white men love black women. They do that all year.
Right.
So you're not saying that. Then he brought up the biblical. There's nothing in no Bible that says rape is okay. There's nothing in no Bible that says it's okay to rape and take from Louis Joey, who's 6 years old, because you think he got ovaries in his rectum. Okay? So we got to stop this collard green eating bull sugar honey iced tea, because I thought it was very foul and very ratchet. And even though he sat up there and said what he said, that nigga can't go through no sundown town, even if he put on heavy makeup. Right. So I don't know who he's trying to cater to, but he just the whole situation just went sour, like a prostitute vagina. Enjoy that book. Bye bye.
Wait. He told me he was going to be very professional.
That is for
That's
him.
his professional. Yeah, he was like, I'm going to be very professional. Just
It started off wrong. It started off.
Dude, what in the world?
Oh my
What's
God.
going on?
I did see. Let's see. There was some comments out there about. I knew that some people would have a reaction, but I just, if we're into freedom of speech, sometimes you hear things that you don't agree with, things that you're uncomfortable with. That's just the world that we live in, and I think that sometimes we do ourselves a disservice when we don't hear opposing views or opposing thoughts.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Keith, that was really good dialogue, because opening up that side to hear from somebody that really believes that in their heart. Mm-hmm. So you want to really hear what they say, and then you can.
And he touched on something that I was in total agreement. Here's something else. He said something to me, and I didn't, but I took it. He said that he's had this. He goes all over the country having these discussions, and he said that, and he just kind of said it in passing, where he said, people don't call me Toms. Don't sin talking about the sin. I'll say it one more time. Yeah. Don't sin talking about. We can disagree, right. But when it gets personal, right. In my mind, then you're losing the argument. Mm-hmm. Now facts then failed you, and now you have to be personal. Yeah. So, I mean, I just thought that it was, I did prepare for the interview. I actually read the book. It was just like when I asked him about critical race theory. Didn't sound like you read the book, because if you read the book, you would know, because that even black folks were calling in based on what they heard. Yeah. And look, critical race theory, CRT, most people didn't even know that existed. I think that book was written like in the 80s. And again, it was written for law school, right? And it was talking about how racism has permeated the criminal justice system in America. Just like Brother Woodson said, we know somebody. Yeah. If it ain't us, we know somebody, because we know how the criminal justice system impacts on black people differently than it does on white people. Right. And people try to make the argument, oh, it's colorblind. It is not. Right. It is not. That there's certain behaviors. I'm gonna go back. I know my God, listen, when I was working at Camp Wickham Mason. And we had a situation where a little boy was being picked on by this guy. He was small. He was in our group, by this white kid from Waukesha. And he's bullying this kid. So finally, the kid, young black kid, he picked something up. and he went after him.
Yeah,
Guess who got sent home?
the black kid.
Always.
Yeah, well, they say something about it's always the second reaction that get caught.
Yep.
It's always the person that reacts to get caught, but they never see what causes the reaction.
Now, I wonder how. I guess I just the fact that he couldn't call Trump a racist
You're right.
was a little trouble.
Yeah, like he wouldn't say it.
He wouldn't say it.
He wouldn't say
He
it.
wouldn't, even though all the racist things he's done. I mean, it's like we ask this question: if you lie all the time, does that make you a liar?
Yeah, to me it will. Yeah.
Okay.
To me,
I'm just asking.
And then just to use what he had dated a white woman. Well, that don't. I mean, a black woman. That don't mean that
Donald
he wasn't
Sterling
racist.
was kicking it with a black woman.
He just wanted what she had.
Right, but he was racist. As a matter of fact,
as a fool. He
right.
told her, "Don't bring those black guys."
Yeah,
to the
Magic
game."
Johnson and was it Mookie
Yeah,
Betts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the fact that the fact that you might sleep with someone from the other race doesn't mean that you're not a racist.
Right.
Jungle fever is just that.
Yeah.
I gotta look that up. Where did jungle fever come from? Let me and again, I don't know if Reggie Brown's still listening. Your boy Mark Brown said, "Hey, all right, caller, welcome to the program."
Good morning, brother.
Good morning.
I've been listening. I got a chance to get away and call you. Let me ask this question, and maybe you can answer it for me. Donald Trump is a racist, okay? Now I want
you saying that, or are you being rhetorical? Is he a racist?
I'm asking you because I need something from you to clarify for me and maybe others. What has Donald Trump done racist? I mean, blatant racism. And there's going to be a few things that I know you're going to call out, but I want to hear it. I'm sure the audience wants to hear it. We want to clarify this for once and for all. What is some of the racist things that this guy has did to the black community, directly to the black community?
Can we start with the meme?
We can start wherever you'd like to start.
Okay, the meme of President Obama and Michelle Obama being apes. You think that's racist?
Well, yeah, it could be. Yeah, it is racist.
Okay. Well, there's one.
Okay.
Let's see.
Now, I want you to get serious now because we know
the Trump organization
No,
discriminatory.
we're talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about Donald Trump.
He worked for the Donald Trump. That organization was Donald Trump, where
Okay, well.
they would not rent to black folks.
Okay, that was 1971, 72. Yeah.
Okay, it was racist then and still be racist now, right?
No, that was his dad's organization. Remember, Donald Trump was about 24 years old.
Okay.
He was a kid.
Okay, so he was a
So
kid.
he was a grown man, but he was a kid operating under his dad.
Okay. So
He was about 24 years old.
okay. All right.
So that's two things.
The policies of the Trump administration.
We're talking about Donald Trump now.
The
We're
policy,
talking about
well,
what he has did that deems him as a racist. Because if we're gonna go policy, then we got to throw all of them dudes in under the boat. Under
But
the
you
boat.
asked me specifically about Donald Trump.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you gave me two things.
Birtherism, where he tries to deny the citizenship of Barack Obama.
Okay. That's racist or that's a challenge?
That's racist.
Okay.
He didn't.
All right.
And John McCain actually was not born in the territorial United States, but that never came up.
That's correct.
That
That's
never
correct.
came up. He was born on a military installation. So
That's right.
So you don't think Donald Trump is racist?
Well, I'm asking you to show me where he has displayed racism, blunt racism, where I can say the cracker is a racist, man. First of all, you don't have to show nothing to be a racist. You can just
you seem to have a high ceiling for what makes a person a racist?
Because I'm a racist.
Okay, well, I don't know how you could be. Racism is really based in.
Well, I'm prejudiced in such a way. I was raised that way.
And
Let there be no uncertainty about that.
Are you acting on that when it comes to white folks?
Listen, when it comes to white folk, we do business, we do deals. That's what that's all about. Okay. They racist too. They racist, man. Look, they're in.
So is Donald Trump racist?
Yes. When it comes to that point, you know why? Because he's interested in preserving his people, and there should be nothing wrong with me wanting
with the elimination of other people. Hitler wanted to maintain his people, and he did that through these anti-purity laws where Jews and Germans could not marry. And then he came up with the final solution. He eliminated 6 million Jews in order to preserve his people in the name of preserving his Aryan race.
Listen, we talk about 6 million Jews, but what about the millions upon millions that were eugenicized and experimented in Germany? That with the help of the government.
And those were Jews.
Partly with
it was Jews. It was not Germans. It was Jews. German Jews.
Brother, you can say what you like, but let's go back to Donald Trump because you already gave me enough time. You only gave me 2 things. You gave me 2 solid
Somebody
things.
Somebody just said the Central Park 5.
Okay, Central Park 5. Now,
I would just say his policies.
Hold on. No. Let's look at the Central Park 5. The Central Park 5 was sentenced. They were found guilty by Democrat prosecutors, by Democrat
a full-page ad saying that they should get the death penalty.
No, you need to read that. I got a copy of that because it was so much controversy. I had to go back and read it myself. Okay. And when you read it, it's a whole different take on it, man. When you read that, and when you read it for real, you'll say, "Well, now I think somebody done add a little their own spin," and that's okay because that's the world we live in. They added a little spin, but
all right.
when
well, you and Dr. Eric Wallace do not believe that Donald Trump is a racist. Gotcha. I got another call.
Well, I'm not saying that he's not interested in preserving his people.
You said
you're not interested in preserving your people, and that's the reason why we are slowly but surely going to disappear here in this country as we know it now. Will no longer be. As soon as these people get a foot in Congress real good, they're going to help create laws with that white man that you're talking about to create laws to hurt you and I. They're going to be relentless, man. Relentless. Because
who would be more apt to do that? If I could just be partisan for a moment, would it be the Democrats or the Republicans?
Democrats.
Okay, appreciate you, man.
I know you're gonna run. You're gonna run because you hate to see the face.
Got another caller? Yeah, caller. Welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm so happy I got in.
Turn your radio down.
I want to tell you again, you spend too much time going in that stupid circle with that boy. He knows the latest thing he could come with racism is what he did to Fannie Willis in Atlanta. I'm from Atlanta. And y'all have a good one.
All right. Got another caller?
Oh, that's wow.
I'm troubled though, and the Black church could be guilty of this. You know, we take a theology where we take I think is it John 14?
For God so loved the world?
No, that's John 3:16. John 14, that no man gets to the Father but by me. That's in John 14, right? I know. I think people have taken that, and maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should be very literal with it. A lot of people are very literal with it. But I just believe in a universal, all creative God, and religion is something that people create, right? We create religion as a way to express worship, ethical practices. It's like if I'm doing a sermon, there's 4 parts to that sermon I should focus on. One is the theos, where's God in that sermon. Logos, where's the scriptures that supports the argument, the theological argument I'm making in that sermon. Ethos, what is the behavior that should be elicited from the lesson that's being taught in that sermon. And then pathos, that thing, that inspiration for me to then go out and apply those things that I've learned in that lesson. I say that to say this, that Christianity, because that is what I am, it has a fraught history. And it has a fraught history. Look, it was the missionaries who went over first. And then the colonizers and the enslavers came. And for a long time in America, they would not even allow us to be Christians, because to allow us to be Christians meant that they would have to treat us as equal human beings. And white supremacy pushed up against that. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hey, Chief, how you doing?
I'm good.
Chief, did you have any kind of idea that that interview was going to go the way it went?
What do you mean?
He's like, kind of like Meech.
Well,
Were you expecting that? Were you expecting that?
I read his book. I knew where he
Did
was.
Did you buy it or did he give it to you?
I bought it.
Wow. Because you looked at the cover and you said, oh, this is interesting. And
Because I think that there's a marketplace of ideas, and just because it might be something I don't subscribe to, I can't criticize what I don't know. You know, so
But you
yeah,
do know.
I have an obligation.
But you do know.
No, I can't
But you do
criticize
know,
what
Chief.
I know about where he is and what the premise of his book was until I read it. And
So
I didn't
when
agree.
you-
I didn't agree.
So with most books, before you even read the book, it tells you, you know, what the thought, idea, why they wrote the book, and all that. Correct? You're a scholar of books,
Right.
so isn't that in there, the preface and all that kind of stuff?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So when I set up this, he thought it was funny. To me, in reading posts on the YouTube, he's clowning you. He thought this was a joke. He didn't take that serious.
That's your perception, man.
It's a whole lot about
and
perception.
I'm not
Chief.
saying
That's what
that.
I'm saying.
I'm saying that.
And it seemed like to me personally, you come at me harder than you come at them.
Okay. All right.
Do I kick something off in you sometimes? I get that personal feeling sometimes, Keith.
Don't take it personally. It's not directed that way.
I feel like that sometimes because the conversation.
Be careful.
Most
Be
of the
careful.
time.
Be careful.
Most
with
of
your
the time.
feelings. Be careful
Most
with
of the
your
time, our conversations, where I think that me and you will be on point with one another, it seems like you push back. You know, I'm confused sometimes. That's really what I am.
I'm going to say to you what I said to him. We like to think that there's only a right way, and the way I think is the right way. That's not true. We all have the fact that he wants freedom of religion, but he doesn't want Muslims to be able to freely exercise their religion and their rights.
So how's that freedom of religion then? That's not.
I guess that's the point. And look, I knew that there were going to be people, because they disagree with his premise, saying we don't want to hear him. There's a danger in that, though. You cannot criticize what you have not been exposed to. That's all I'm saying.
We are exposed to it.
Okay.
We get exposed to it every day by the callers
and I'm
you just
telling
had on
you,
the show.
I'm not good at math, but I can tell you that we have a 95-5 ratio. 95% of the people that listen to this program do not agree with Eric Wallace and do not agree with Meech. 5% might, though. 5% might.
I'm not.
And they have the right. And they have the right to be heard, just like the 95% of the people who call in, who criticizes
But you know
Trump.
what, Keith? But you know what, Keith? On WNOV, on those white radio stations, Keith, and I can tell you from experience, Keith, because I used to call into them shows, no. They don't get the same freedom calling those shows that they get the freedom of calling your show.
So then we should
and
applaud.
Michelle's show.
We should applaud that.
And so, and I am.
Okay.
And I am. I'm not downing it, but what I'm saying, I guess maybe I'm not explaining it the right way. I just asked, were you expecting that type of reaction from that guy? Because I'm listening and I'm like, who is this dude?
Okay. Well,
and his thought pattern, where he giggling, racist. Please, brothers, what's wrong with y'all that y'all don't see with your eyes?
I'm going to say,
and I guess that's.
Here's my frustration, George. Be careful about judgment. Be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let me get this last call.
Now, how am I judging? I guess I don't understand. How am I judging?
I just said be
so
careful.
I'm not supposed to have an opinion?
You have
so
an opinion.
How's an opinion or a judgment different?
I just said be careful.
To me, it's almost like
we're condemning the person. Like that's what I want to avoid.
I'm not condemning. I don't condemn anybody.
So then
I'm challenging their thoughts.
Okay, but then you say
ideas and their
when
thoughts.
you say I don't understand how they feel that way, now you're getting into judgment. Because they might see the world differently than you, and that's okay.
Not as a black person, I don't think it's okay.
Okay, I appreciate it. Let me get the last caller. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
I'm listening, and I'm like,
turn your radio down.
Hey, good morning.
What's happening?
Hey, just want to switch gears for a minute.
Okay.
Now, Trump is proving the point that immigrants come here to do jobs that Americans don't want to do. You know how he did it? All of his wives are immigrants.
No. Marla Maples wasn't an immigrant.
Oh, she wasn't?
No.
Okay. All right, take care.
All right, man, preach. All right, let me thank. Oh man, get my list out here.
Yeah.
Let me thank Dr. Eric Wallace, Reggie Brown, Keith Mitchell, and the inimitable C.L. Woodson III. Found out the guy's government name. Clark, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jermaine, thank you.
Indeed.
Callers, we thank you. Good Lord, will the creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow, and as always, go from this place in peace.